It's time for The Local with your host and realtor, Katie McKinney.
Hey guys, Katie here, and today on the podcast, I want to have a quick episode with my right-hand lady that's actually at my left today. We want to talk a little bit about frequently asked questions. Obviously, Allie Hamilton, the Allie Hamilton,
I don't need an
is here. My operations manager extraordinaire. She's also, most people don't know, she's actually licensed. She is a licensed sales associate with EXP. And so people need to know that. But also, we get questions every day. Some are good questions. I say all questions are good questions. I should probably stop saying that because we get some really crafty ones. But I would say ask the question, and especially when you're going through the home selling or home buying process, that is the time to ask as many questions as you want. That is why we're here.
And I'm a question person.
And Allie is a checklist, also question person, and she will be able to relate to you. Me, I'm a little bit more clear cut. Here's how it is. Allie wants to know why it is the way that it is. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to have both of us here in the studio today, kind of telling you a little bit about some frequently asked questions that we get from contract to close, but also, even before then, and kind of go from there. So kind of want to start, we're just freestyling it, but want to start with kind of the, when you start looking at a home, or looking for a home, and you start the home buying process, specifically home buying, where do we start? So a lot of people go on
Zillow,
Realtor.com,
Facebook Marketplace.
There's so many different platforms you can go to. Mm-hmm. You even see a sign in the yard, and maybe want to call the name or number that's on there, and that's fine. There's a lot of people that don't care who they use as a real estate agent, sales associate. They just want to know more about the house. I get that, but kind of the main question I get is, well, if I choose you as my real estate agent, can I look at any house? Allie?
Yes, you can. Even if Katie is not the listing agent, we can show any property on the market in the Woodward area. Sometimes I know from the buyer side, it can be kind of confusing. You think, oh, well, you can only show me properties that you have listed, but that's not the case. She can show you properties that she has listed as well as any others here on the market. So that kind of clears up a little confusion for people, because then they're like, oh, okay, well, if you can show me any of them, here's the ones I really like.
Mm-hmm. Then I start getting text messages of snapshots. I want to see this one. I want to see this one. I want to see this one. I'm like, you've been hoarding these this whole time, and I could have been showing you these properties. So it's interesting because that's a huge misconception. And if you've never purchased a home before or gone through the process, it's so, Allie reminds me of this pretty much every day. Your buyers they don't do this every single day like you do. They don't understand, maybe this is the first time that they're ever coming, across an issue like this or a question like this. So remind them that, the things that they can do, and they can just contact me for. Multiple listing service. That brings us to the next point. Multiple listing service, MLS is also what it's called. And it is where it's a platform that a lot of the local real estate agents and brokerages pay for. It's a membership of sorts, along with other things. But and they do a fantastic job. But we actually, once we get a listing, we put that into the multiple listing service, and a lot of the information about that property is on the multiple listing service, or MLS, and it is populated to all of the other real estate agents in the area. Not just Woodward, all surrounding areas, even all the way to Enid. We have access to the properties over in Enid because we're part of the NWOAR. So it's Northwest Oklahoma MLS. And so we've got access to a lot of properties and a lot of details, disclosures, different things. And so any agent that's part of that MLS can pull up information about, another brokerage's listing or another agent's listing. And so makes it a little bit easier because we've got all the information right there. How do we show these properties, Allie, that are on the multiple listing service? How do we get into the property? Because a lot of them say, well, how do you get in?
Well, the properties all have a lockbox on there, whether it's on the door or on a piece of railing or wherever it might be hidden.
Under a rock? No.
Because we are a part of the Northwest Oklahoma Association of Realtors, we are able to get into those lockboxes and have a key to the property and show any of those properties, which is a lot easier than having to coordinate with the current owner of the property to get a key to show it. It makes it a lot easier for the buying agent to be able to coordinate with the buyers what time works best for them and show the property in a timely matter without having to coordinate with a lot of different people. So
yeah, of course we have an appointment.
Yeah,
right. We make an appointment, but then at least the sellers know that we're coming. And that's the main thing. Are the dogs out and going to jump on all of the buyers? Are there going to be kiddos there? Is it going to be bedtime for a lot of people? You get there at 7, 8. So it's just really nice to be able to give them that notice, to ask permission. Obviously, only licensed sales associates or I should say real estate agents have access to those lock boxes. And that's pretty important, important question. You actually use Bluetooth and sync them up. It's kind of neat. Technology's cool when it works correctly. So there's that. We can show you any property listed by any company that is part of the multiple listing service and others, but that's the main gist of it. And the other question I had, which I feel like is important, Allie, what happens if a buyer's going through Zillow and there's, hundreds of properties available that you can look through in the greater Northwest Oklahoma area? And they scroll down on that Zillow page. I see a property they like, scroll down and it says, I want more info or more info. And they click that button. What happens when they click that button? Do you know?
So when they click that button, it notifies, you.
Well,
or it may be you, it may not be.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It connects them with Zillow, and they basically take that lead from Zillow and connect it, to an agent. It may be
at random. Yeah.
It's not
at random. It's pretty much whoever pays the most for that lead is pretty much what the market share. So when you click that button, it sends it connects it to a Zillow rep, which Allie said, and they kind of get a little bit of information about you, probably bombard you with mortgage questions from the get-go. Have you talked with a lender? Have you talked with a lender? Because now Zillow has their own mortgage people, which is crazy. But anyway, once you do that, it sends you to Zillow. Zillow rep kind of gets some information, and then they connect you with a local. I say local. I can't guarantee that, but a local real estate agent. Not at random, but like I said, whoever owns the most market share of that, and they have it on a cycle. And so if you, hypothetically, if you click that button 4 or 5 times, you're going to get different real estate agents each time. Sometimes maybe 1 or 2 the same, but you're going to get different premier agents. I'm a premier agent on Zillow because a lot of people don't necessarily know how to use that platform. They don't know that necessarily goes to a certain agent. So I think, obviously to be competitive, but also to maybe help as many people as I can through that, I'm a premier agent. But I think most people don't realize when you push that button, it's going to take you to an agent, but it could not be, may or may not be the agent you want to talk with at the time, or maybe that you have spoken with. So that's important to know. Whoever's paying the highest dollar that month is usually how it is, has the most market share. Allie, what happens? So what are the pros, I guess, of finding that real estate agent that you really vibe with, that you really enjoy dealing with? What are one of the pros of using that agent and staying with them?
I think it's just you want to make sure you get someone that understands you, that's not that understands what you're looking for and what your goals are. Because if there's miscommunication from the beginning, then everyone's going to be unhappy with the result. If there's miscommunications at the beginning and they don't know what you want or your timeline or all those important details that come with buying a house. But I think one thing is that your real estate agent, and most people don't know this, that they are working hard for you. And if you don't consider that relationship, you might not consider that relationship as important as they do at the beginning, but to them, you are a client and they want to serve you to the best of their ability. And so I think having that understanding of, when you go to see a property with a certain real estate agent, if you go to see multiple properties with one real estate agent, you're kind of developing a relationship with them just as they are with you. And they are working hard to earn your business and earn your loyalty. And I think that kind of comes down to just how you would with any other business person, just kind of a respect thing of, to not hop around, because I don't think people realize that, if you show them a lot of properties and then they decide to go with someone else, you spent all that time, hard work, and finding what they like, but you don't get paid for it. I don't think a lot of people, understand how some people might not even understand how real estate agents get paid.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
And I think, and if you didn't know that, maybe you wouldn't think much of seeing properties with different real estate agents. Yeah. But I think when it comes down to it and you realize, 3% of this property sales price goes to the listing agent and 3% goes to the selling agent. It doesn't go to the agent that showed you the house 3 times but didn't represent you in the end.
Right.
So
yeah. Oh, I think that's a good point. And Allie has such a fresh perspective because obviously she just...
Very fresh.
Yeah, very, very fresh. She just got into the real estate industry last year. And so, she's able to see it kind of from an outsider perspective, whereas I'm kind of, I've been in it for several years now, and I'm like, man, I took... It was 8 hours of showing property, and it's kind of like a diagnostic test. What do they like? How do they like this or they don't like? Pros, cons, budget. We have to do all of those things, and once you find out exactly what they're looking for, and maybe they decide they want to push that Zillow button and go see another property with another real estate agent, I understand that happens if we don't vibe great, but if we do, and I have found that property, you're on to the next. And so it's always good to, I think, know that, because as a general, maybe outsider, rather than just a real estate agent, it may not be as
and hopefully once you use a real estate agent and buy your first home, hopefully you've developed enough of a good relationship with that agent for them to be your agent, and that is who you're going to use forever. And hopefully that experience went well. And, if it doesn't, hopefully you find someone else that works well with you. Yeah. But I think once you go through that process, at the beginning, and you have like a normal experience and a good experience, and hopefully you kind of understand how that relationship works. But I think a lot of people just don't know, or maybe they haven't bought a house in a really long time, or wasn't really exclusive with an agent before. But I think people just don't know how much pride we take in taking care of our clients, and we want them to be ours. Yeah. And I think people don't sometimes understand, how much work goes into everything that we do, even before writing a contract. So, I mean, the end, kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, but there's so much to do to get there. Yeah. It's
a customer service thing from start to finish, and we try to make sure and show people how much they mean to us, but how much we care about them through the process. And kind of moving along from that is once they do find that property they really, really like, buyers find that property they really like and want to make an offer, say it goes under contract, we'll just kind of move from there. Inspections. Common inspections. These are super, super important. And I think as I, over 100 transactions now, and well over 100 transactions, I'm seeing consistent pattern or thread through each and every one of them. And it is the importance of inspections. And so what are a few common inspections that you may want to get when you're purchasing a home?
So the first one that will probably be required, because most likely, if you're a first-time home buyer, if you're financing your house at all, will be a termite inspection, which is super important. They'll require you to have that. And those usually cost around $125-ish, give or take. And they'll be able to do a pretty thorough report and be able to see, okay, has this property been treated before for termites? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes when people, especially first-time home buyers, find that out, they think, oh, termites. but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
It could have been treated a long time ago. And it could have been just preventative. A lot of people do that here because termites are pretty common to Woodward, and especially certain areas of Woodward where there's lots of trees.
Yeah. Moisture and
yeah,
trees.
lots
and
of wood.
I was going to say, Jake was on here a few months ago, and I mean, that's right, where it's pretty prevalent.
And then there's also, maybe they see some damage, but it might be old damage. It might not be, there might not be any signs of active termites on the property, and there may just be old damage because it may be an old house. So there's a lot of good things that a termite inspector can figure out for you by doing an inspection, and by having that report, you can kind of have it on file too for yourself and for your records for your house of what it looked like when you bought it and how that compares. And another common inspection is a home inspection, and that's just kind of your general visual inspection, making sure all systems are working, your air conditioning, your heating, your water, no major leaks or roof problems. That I guess in real estate, I have learned the importance of a good roof. Being in real estate and being married to an insurance agent, roofs are important, and they can make or break a lot of properties. And I don't think I quite understood the importance of a good roof, but it's what's keeping you from the elements. And especially Northwest Oklahoma, you want a good roof.
So is it visual, or do they actually put like a camera down plumbing? Do they bust open the walls and make sure everything's working?
Yeah, they don't. It's just a visual inspection. So they're just looking underneath cabinets, underneath the sink, making sure there's no mold or no leaks or anything like that, and checking to make sure the thermostat works. It's just all things that can be done visually without any destruction of the property. They'll get up on the roof and take pictures. And one of the nice things about living in the digital age is that report is pretty lengthy, and it includes tons of pictures. So if one of the buyers, maybe it's an out-of-state buyer, or maybe one of them can't be present for the inspection, they're able to get this very thorough inspection with pictures included. So it's pretty great. I think it's pretty nice that how that's evolved with the industry as well. So home inspection and termite inspection are the two most common. I think some people, depending on the buyer's preference, how in the current condition of the property, they may want to get a sprinkler system inspection, and we kind of talked about that this morning. That is something that we're kind of seeing more of, because people don't really know that there's problems with it till they try to start running it after they've purchased it.
And they've purchased it, and now it's their problem. And it may be an extensive problem, maybe just a couple of sprinkler heads. But, that $80 or $100, say you paid $200 to get the sprinkler system inspected, which would be pretty high. But say you did that, that's still better than having to, once you purchase the home, find out it's not working, it has a leak in a lot of them, or busted pipes, and then now you've got to do it. I think we're realizing that more and more each time. There's just so many different things that you can do, different inspections that you can do. But one thing I will say about sprinkler, and I'm sure Allie's going to say fireplace inspection, that's an important one, and that you can do. But what I would say, and a lot of our commercial properties especially, is we have a heating and air person go and check out the heating and air, plumbing. If you want any in-depth inspection that's not just a visual, we need to take a few more steps into the process. And it may cost a little bit more, but that is potentially money that you are saving in the long run. And it may be a lot of people call inspections deal killers. That is the point of an inspection.
Yeah. You want to know before you are, especially if you're, I think it's just as important with commercial and residential, but if that's going to be your primary place of residence, you want to know what all is wrong with it before you, and it may not break it, but it may, but you also want to, if you can, get those things fixed before you move in, because the likelihood of you getting them fixed after you move in might be slim. I know once you kind of get settled and get through with the process, you're kind of done for a while. So it's nice to be able to have that inspection period and to be able to negotiate with the sellers if there are any major things you want to be fixed, to get that done. So whenever you move in, you can just, wipe down cabinets and clean the house and move everything in without wondering if something's going to burst or anything.
Yeah, I think that's important, and it kind of moves us to our next point. And we talked about this a little bit even before this episode. Is that before we started recording, TRR. TRR is a form, treatment, repair, and replacement form. And I know that it is not a common thing to know about, and it's one of those things that unless you're in it all the time, you're not going to know maybe what that is, or unless you've gone through the home buying process several times. So, Allie, what is a TRR?
So basically, after you've completed all your inspections, you kind of review the reports and you talk with your agent on, okay, what are some of the things that are kind of maybe they're make or break, or maybe you just really want you think the seller should fix this before closing. So you kind of make a list of those items that are important to you, and the treatment, repair, and replacement form is the official Oklahoma Real Estate Commission document that you would say, okay, these are the repair requests or the treatment requests we're making, whether or not it is required, because if there's a termite problem, it may be required.
Yeah, lender or, I don't know if appraiser would see that, but yeah, it's probably a good question to look up. But yeah, especially the lender.
And then the buyers would sign it and submit it to the sellers. And it's just kind of saying, hey, these are the things we found through inspections, and you provide those reports along with it. So, they're able to see straight from the inspector what they found. And then you kind of, if they completely agree to all of them, then okay. And they may say, oh, we'll do X, Y, and Z, but we won't do this other one. And you kind of negotiate from there, and you have a time period to do that as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to know, once you get those inspections back, it's not like I've got to make a decision right now whether I want to go forward with the property or not. It can be that way if they come back really bad, if there's a major issue, but I would say a large majority of the time, it's just, they look good, but I would really like if the sink of the master bathroom didn't have it didn't leak or it didn't drip or whatever it might be. So it could be a lot of small things too. It could be 20 small things. I've seen some TRR forms that have got 15 to 20 items on it. I've seen a few that have one item on it. And so, is the termite treatment going to be required, or is it not required? And, all the different things about the home inspection as well, or through your other inspections that you have gotten at that point. And so nice to be able to review the other the inspections and the TRR and kind of and see what's important.
And the nice thing with the more inspections you do at the property, the more basis you have to ask for repairs from the seller. So you can't just go in there and say, well, I think the sprinkler system doesn't work very well. I mean, and expect them to, know, unless you're a sprinkler expert and you have a sprinkler company. I mean, it's nice to have that professional third-party opinion or report and opinion on the property, so you're able to have a basis for the repairs you're requesting. So I think that's important, because you can't really have one without the other.
Oh, I think so too, most definitely. And one main question is, well, how do I know that the repairs were done? Of course, as we know, it says in the contract, you'll have a final walkthrough before closing to one, confirm that the property is in the same condition as what you saw it and made the offer in, with general wear and tear. Of course, it actually mentions that on the contract. But then also that those repairs were done prior to closing. So you can verify that those were done before closing. And, we try to do final walkthroughs a couple of days before.
And typically what you can do, especially you can verify that with the listing agent. If, say, Katie's representing you as the buyer, we kind of coordinate with the listing agent to make sure those repairs are getting done. Because there may be a big time frame between inspections and closing. And sometimes they can be forgotten about, or you kind of get right there and go, oh no, have they been done? But we try to be really proactive on that and make sure they are done in plenty of time, so there's no rushed last minute repairs, because those are probably not very good quality.
Yeah, I agree. And definitely not. That's one thing. You can always request certain things, but if you don't say how they're going to be fixed, the quality of repair,
professional.
Yes. Make sure that, anytime you're getting repairs, obviously that it's a professional that's doing it, but then also that you're very specific about what you want. I would say a lot of it's just miscommunication when somebody's not happy with the repair or whatever. You have anything else to add on that?
No.
I think TRR is a huge thing. Most people kind of just go by it and through that inspection period and negotiation period, but it is very big, and we're seeing that as it being, I mean, it's always been important to us, obviously, but it's even more important now more than ever, I feel like, just because people's pockets are, they're counting pennies and dimes, and having a huge item after you close is never fun. So kind of the last frequently asked question that I get, and I'm sure you get it too, 'cause yes, Allie gets it a lot. Who orders the appraisal?
The lender.
Okay. And obviously
On a game show.
Yeah, she is. And the price is right. No. So, whenever, obviously, a buyer is pre-approved, they're going through that inspection period, and kind of we're negotiating repairs and everything. And one thing on the repairs is that a lot of those requests may be required by the appraiser. So that's another thing. If you think it's going to be flagged during the appraisal, go ahead and get it requested during the TRR period.
And usually your agent,
yes,
your real estate agent will know those items in advance. So you don't have to wait till the appraisal is done and then have requirements, then have to have them come back.
Yep.
It just makes that process quite a bit longer.
Yeah. So it is nice. Obviously, we've got the TRR period, kind of repairs, but then lender is the we get a lot of questions. Hey, have you ordered the appraisal yet? And I said, man, I wish we could. I wish we could, but we can't, and that's okay. The lender is the one that submits a request to appraisal management company, and it has changed a lot of the different ways. You don't just call up an appraiser and say, hey, I want to schedule an appraisal with you. It goes through quite the process now. And so the lender is going to be in charge of that. But the important thing to note is that Allie and I will know what step it is in the process. So has the order been submitted? Has an appraiser been contacted or selected? And then also, when will the appraisal be? And so we make sure and monitor that, because we've had transactions where we thought the appraisal was already ordered by the lender, and it wasn't. And then now we're here 2 weeks later and it's not ordered. And that can get very, very frustrating for all parties, because it obviously takes a little bit longer for appraiser to get out there, submit the report, do the report, then submit the report, and then get ready for closing. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, that's the last thing you're really waiting on, the last major thing you're waiting on, and then disclosures. But the appraisal is a big checkbox, and a lot of people maybe don't understand the process or have a lot of questions. And primarily, we can check in with your lender for you on the status of it, but it is the buyer's appraisal. It belongs to the buyer, so it is yours. It's not something we do on our end. I think a lot of people get confused on that.
We help with the process, but we don't make it happen necessarily. No. So we do open the property typically, or the listing agent does. For them. So obviously there are a lot of frequently asked questions in real estate, and we're here to help. That's what we do. A lot of people call and say, well, I've never bought a home before. That's why you have us. That's why you hire a professional to do the job. Obviously, it is our full-time job. We're in it every day. And so it's important to note that. Definitely going to have Allie on again. We'll do a part 2 of frequently asked questions next time. She doesn't know that, but now she does. That's the way we roll. She's just got a lot of great answers and has a lot of great insight, like I said. So, Allie, thanks for being here.
Always. I'm always here. Thank you. Job.